Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Artcasters, episode 102. And what we do here is we talk about the business of art and the trials, I guess, and tribulations of becoming a professional artist or being a professional artist. And with me, as always, is Joshua Kemble.
Hi, how's it going?
And our special guest tonight is Peter Palmiotti.
Hey, everyone.
So
great to be here.
So we're going to just let everyone know where they can find us, because some people like to tune out before the end, so we do it at the beginning and the end. But I just wanted to let everyone know kind of how this works. If you're tuning in for the first time, if you look at my channel or somebody else's channel, you may have seen that the numbers, there's some missing numbers as far as episode numbers. That's because we rotate back and forth through different channels. So we've got a newsletter and everything, and I will let you know about that later at the end, but there is a link to that in the description. But anyway, so let's kind of get this started and reintroduce, for anyone who's new, who Josh is and where you can find Josh.
Hi, yeah, I'm Joshua Kemble. I co-host this thing, and you can check out my comic that I hand letter, hand ink, and then obviously hand write, and hopefully hand to you someday in print at quarterlystories.com.
Okay, and as far as me, you can find me down here on social media at Serkworks. I'm on YouTube. You're on my YouTube channel, so you probably know where that is. And like I said, with us tonight, we have, returning from a long hiatus, and that's kind of what our topic's going to be about, but we have Peter Palmiotti. Where can they find you, Peter?
I am everywhere on the web as Peter Palmiotti. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, everything. And yeah, that's, I'm trying to get back into making videos. YouTube is a big focus of what I got going forward. So
yeah,
exciting.
Definitely check out Peter's channel, and we've got links to all our channels in the description. So like I said, I want to talk about this topic because I think it's relevant to a lot of people. I think some people may be going through this now, some people have gone through it in the past, or you may end up going through it in the future. But sometimes just kind of life comes in the way, whether you're just overworked or whether, outstanding circumstances come into play or whatever, but you kind of have to take a break from social media or maybe just art in general. And then what do you do? How do you get back into that? How do you get back into the groove? How do you return from a long hiatus? And is it like building everything back up? Is some of your crowd still there? Do they come back to you, or do you lose some people? You're starting over. So I thought I think Josh has had some experience kind of with this in the past, and in some ways is talking about maybe this in the future, as far as kind of coming back to YouTube. But we'll talk to Josh in a minute. But I just kind of want to know, where the hell you been, Peter? What's been going on?
Well, last year I was engaged, and we sort of broke up in December, which is the big happening. And unfortunately, the short story is that I had a couple of inking gigs right before that. I'm mostly known as a comic book inker, been doing inking since 1991. And so I had a couple of inking gigs, and they fell apart, and then we broke up, and I was in like a really bad, tight spot financially, and it was like, I had to drop out. I had to get things on track, and it took me a while, unfortunately. I was gone for like 7 months, at least 5 of the months. I was gone because I had to get things straightened out in my life. And then 2 months, I decided, you know what, I need to really evaluate where I want to going forward. So I sort of took a break on purpose, and decided where I want to put my focus and what I want to be doing. And most of it relies on YouTube, as well as getting back to my comics, and mostly working for myself, which is kind of funny. Like, I made a short video today that I'll post up probably after the show, but that I been getting, like, people coming at me now, like wanting me to work for them, and it's like one guy I know, he's been a friend online for years, and it's like, oh, okay, you know, you got your passion project, and I'd like to help you with that. So you know, we can talk and work it out. Somebody else is like, you know, from out of the States, got in touch with me today, and he just like, it's a new company, but it seems very professional. And I said, you know, we'll start small, because like last year, what happened was like, I was supposed to be on a series, and it all fell apart. And I was like, you know, I want to be cautious this time if I'm going to be dabbling here and there with other people. So I said, you know, can we just do something small? And he said, a cover. I was like, yeah, let's start with a cover and see how that goes, and work from there. But yeah, you know, it's my main struggle since I've been back is a lot of the knowledge. Like, I'm no expert in anything. I've learned computers and doing things online by sheer, you know, just messing around. So I got no formal training in that regard. But I had to relearn a lot of what I already knew previously and just totally forgot in the span of time that I've been away. I also have a new computer now. I've had it for a year now. And, you know, learning online stuff again in regards to the new computer, and everything's been updated. Even programs I've been using, and there's different programs now for certain things, and all that stuff. It's it's been challenging. And then I started having problems with my computer, but regardless, like I'm battling it every day, and I'll get to where I want to get to, so that I can be a lot more consistent than I've been, and really a lot more focused on the content rather than how the hell I'm putting everything together.
Yeah, it's crazy how much technology changes within just 7 months. But so, I mean, what kind of steps are you taking? What are you doing? Maybe something differently or whatever to kind of, you know, to kind of make success out of it this time, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, in the past, I wasn't always very consistent, and that's going to be the number one factor. Like, you know, as long as you're consistently out there, like, you know, I've always consistently posted on Facebook and different places, and have gained a crowd. Like, you know, I have 5,000 close personal friends on Facebook. You know, I have whatever, a couple thousand on my fan page under my studio name, which is Human Art Studios, if you didn't already know. And, you know, I'm building up my YouTube slowly. I'm on LinkedIn and have over 4,000 people I've been connected with there. You know, it's like, if you go across the sites and add up the people, it's insane. It's like, I feel like I'm like the most connected person on the internet sometimes, and not making full use of it. But consistency would be the number one factor. The other thing is, like, you know, well, how am I going to make money? And like, what I've done before is work for other people as an anchor. I've done commissions, and those were my two biggest money makers. But you know, it's like, I don't want to ink for other people as a thing. You know, it's like, I'll do it here and there on certain projects, but I want to get my own books out. I'm tired of, like, just, you know, I'm sort of spotty in brain at times, as a lot of, you know, creative people are. And I want to get a lot more focused on, you know, working on one thing, getting it done, and getting it out there. So that's, you know, it's like, I noticed like commissions, it really hasn't been my thing. It's like I'm not good with getting them done fast, and I've kind of let some people down. So I want to go forward and be a lot more professional, because it's like I work for Marvel, I work for DC, I work for some really big professional companies, and I know how to be professional. But sort of working in my own vacuum, I lose all sense of that, and I really have to keep better track of everything across the board. It's like, how is this project progressing? How are my finances doing? All that's a factor. All that's important, and not to lose sight of things, and don't let things go by the wayside because you rather just draw something else, whatever you want to do that day. So keeping a plan and keeping consistent and keeping a certain amount of balance to everything I'm doing is going to be much more important.
So
that's what I got.
Do you think kind of the goal right now is to take some of these small projects and then and work on your own stuff on the side and get that going? Because I mean, obviously you need to have money coming in, because I mean, everyone would love to just kind of work on their own personal projects, but unfortunately a lot of times those don't pay the bills. So it's like, but it sounds like you've got some people coming to you that and maybe it's not the best idea to take on a big project, assuming that it happens, because a lot of times these things fall through too. But they definitely sound good to begin with. But if you get a few of these smaller things, and I don't know.
Well, my main stream of money, what I project will be the most helpful, is along the lines of why the Artcasters was started originally, with Jeff. Is just make art every day and put it up wherever or everywhere, and have it for sale, and get eyes on it. And that's my goal. I started my own sort of Artcast, and I'm fumbling around with it currently, but it will get to be a daily show, and I'll be doing, I've been sort of just drawing on it so far, but I'm going to be doing finished pieces on it, and just posting them to Facebook until I get my store set up, and then I'll have it on my store, and also, I'll be posting to eBay. It's like I have all these accounts across the board, but I need to get the bank set up and all that jazz. But yeah, it's like the biggest moneymaker I foresee is to produce artwork and sell it.
Yeah, and I really do think, kind of like you mentioned, I think the biggest thing you got going for you is just the social media reach that kind of you have. And you really, I mean, one of your strongest points, I think, is sort of almost like a community builder, because a lot of the people, like, whether it's Jeff Lafferty or Kevin Cross, I mean, it just seems like I forget how these connections were made, but I'm pretty sure you were a big part of bringing some of these people together. So, I mean, that's what's kind of cool. And I know in the past you were that was kind of a focus, and I know now you want to kind of shift to kind of doing your own thing, because it is hard to partner up with people as far as projects and things. Obviously networking and everything is your thing, but I watched you on Jeff's show, and you were saying how it's kind of, because a lot of people don't have the same work ethic or whatever, they just don't jive with each other, so trying to partner up on books and things kind of become an issue. But I mean, what project are you looking at kind of tackling first as far as your own personal project?
Well, whatever I can get done fastest, which would be a book. I started and didn't finish. It was for the 2014 Inktober, and it was a comic called Bobby B-Boy. So I'm going to focus all my energy and get that done and just get it out. You know, I was sort of planning a whole video thing with it, and it's like, you know what, I'm just going to finish it, you know, behind the scenes and put it up there. And, you know, if people want to buy it, great. If not, then, you know, it's like making art anyway, you know, buy my art. But yeah, in regards to what you're saying about community and all that, I do have a Facebook group called Creator Owned, and you know, I'm trying to build on that. That's for comic book makers, you know, either wannabes or professional, and that's growing. It's over 1,000 people now, and there's always people posting in it. It's not totally always interactive, you know, getting the most out of a group, but you know, somewhere down the line, I'll get a couple of moderators to help me with that, to where, you know, it would be more like, you know, effective to helping people find resources or find collaborators or that sort of thing. And, you know, that is something I want to build on. And, you know, I realize, like, you know, I have some effect to things that are happening around the internet, you know, but I know I could be much more effective. And yeah, so we'll see. You know, I'm still a moderator on the Artcasters group, although that, you know, that seems like not as many people are posting there. So it would be great to get it back to full strength. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could see you bringing something like that back to life. I mean, that's kind of where that's kind of my go-to when I post like videos and things like that. And I don't know, you know, a lot of people are posting art, whereas I'm just posting YouTube links. So I don't know if that's what people want to see. Hopefully, I'm hoping that people find value out of the videos and stuff that I do. But I was thinking, you know, I mean, it's interesting you were talking about, you know, kind of going back to your Inktober project, but I was wondering why you don't just decide, why don't you just do Inktober? Because it seems like that's a natural, because I mean, you're a professional comic book inker and you've had experience with Marvel and DC and all these companies and Valiant and all that stuff. And it seems like you can get some traction if you're doing some new stuff and posting it, you know, throughout those 30 days and really, you know.
Well, that is part of the plan.
Okay, cool.
You know, I was reluctant to do it because, like, you know, what I'm doing anyway, you know, what my plan is essentially to do a piece every day. So that's, you know, what Inktober accomplishes. But I was like, why not? You know, it's like, what's the difference? I'm going to choose my own sort of goal and theme and what I'm going to be doing anyway. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing. But it will, you know, it's just going to be a piece a day that's finished and inked, and and I'll have them for sale.
Yeah,
so I'll be able to tag Inktober into it.
I mean, I was going back and forth on whether I wanted to do Inktober, and I looked at like Jake Parker's list that he puts out, and I even came up with a concept for a story that would take each one of those prompts and fit it into a story, and I was like super excited to do it, but I just, you know, I've done it twice before in the past, and it's just like I'm trying to do the stuff that I'm doing right now with these digital avatars and everything, and I don't know, I know if I did it, I could pull it off just because I'm wired that way, but I know it would just wreak havoc on everything else I'm doing. So yeah, I almost, like when we were doing the Artcasters 100th episode and Jeff was on, I was almost gonna say, Jeff, you need to convince me not to do Inktober, because he seems like every time I do Inktober or something, he's like, why, you know, you don't need to do that, or why you do that, or that's not for me, or whatever. So but I think on my own, I just came to that conclusion. But I'm kind of, on the other hand, I'm kind of like, oh man, you know, that would have been kind of cool to actually tell a story or do something with it and have, because I would have something at the end, you know, kind of like what you were doing with the Bobby B Boy, where you had the story. But I just thought it was cool where this would, you know, also take into consideration all those prompts and everything. And then I have a book at the end. But I think I'm just going to have to pass this year, you know, and maybe go back. But it's not like I have anything to prove because I've done it before and I was successful doing it. But yeah, I think I'm going to just have to sit back and watch everyone else draw some cool ink stuff. So.
I think these challenges are amazing, and they definitely, you know, they're attention grabbers if you're doing it right. But if they screw up your momentum on what you're doing anyway, then I think it's smarter to not do it.
Yeah, but I think for you it's a natural because it just seems like just the perfect synergy or perfect place and time because you're coming right back in. It's Inktober is about to start. You're an inker. I mean, why not do that and you know, and basically let people know you're back and see a piece of work, a new piece of work from you come out every, you know, for 31 days would be pretty cool, I think. So yeah, it's good because when you said you were going back to the other one, which I think, you know, obviously you definitely want to do that too, but I was thinking that might be a missed opportunity with just putting some new stuff out. But
yeah, you know, it's like there's also like, how do you do it? Like, do you make a video? Do you post it on Instagram? And yada yada. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, I'll do it somewhere, and you know, it's like I'll get the plan together. I still got a day or two.
Well, here's kind of what I did. Here's kind of what last time I did, and now that I think about it, now that's also another thing that is kind of going to suck because I filmed most of them, but I didn't concentrate. I just filmed them while I was doing them, which doesn't take any time. It's the editing and all that stuff and putting it out there that takes all the time. So I had all these videos of me drawing, and I still have. I've probably shown a few of them already, but I still have some of them. So if I have a topic or something I want to talk about on YouTube, I've got this catalog of videos where I can pull some artwork from and I can talk over it. So that I think, I mean, I might recommend that to you just because, you know, film it, but don't worry about getting that video out on a daily basis or even like, you know, whatever, because that's gonna cut into your productivity. But once you have it, you know, save it and you've got it there for later where you can kind of, and I don't know how you work. I mean, usually when I do my videos, I'm usually doing a voiceover, where it seems like you usually kind of drawing live. So that might be a different style. But you could do that too if you're drawing, if you like, I know you've been doing live streams, so you could just talk while you're doing it. But I think Instagram is probably the big one. I mean, it seems like, because that's where I'm looking at all the people doing Inktober. I think Instagram is the way to go for that. So I don't know. Yeah,
it's, I'm gonna, you know, take an hour or two and really think about it and plan it out. You know, it's like I know I draw live and talk on my Synergies, Studio Synergy artist hangout. But I actually, you know, I want to get more into like sort of the video production of putting together the videos. I guess it's something in my blood because, you know, like growing up, my brothers used to make like home movies and I love movies, and so I want to do some crazy stuff. So I'm just getting my feet wet, and you know, maybe in 6 months I'll be decent at it. But yeah, Inktober, I'll be a part of it, and I'll probably do a video regarding my plan to it. So people, if they want to check it out, they can watch the video, and then I'll be posting somewhere. Maybe I'll do a weekly sort of update on my progress video kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, definitely looking forward to that. So Josh has been kind of silent. And in the beginning, I was kind of asking, because I know we all kind of travel in the same circles, but it seems like when kind of a while back, you know, I first discovered Josh from like Big Illustration Party Time and all that kind of stuff, and through his T-shirt designs, and I was a subscriber to his mailing list. And then it seemed like Josh for a little while kind of dropped off the face of the internet. And then he kind of made his return. So he's kind of like, he's been through this before. And it's weird because it's like, it seems like when Josh kind of came back, that's when Peter dropped off, and vice versa. So that's probably why you guys haven't really met in person. But I'm kind of curious, and maybe I'm reading this wrong. Maybe I just wasn't paying a close enough attention to what you're doing. But it did seem like you kind of took a huge hiatus and then kind of came back. Josh, is that the case, or am I reading that wrong?
No, I mean, what happened was we had my wife had Benji or Scott, and I took this new gig as an art director and was kind of green to art directing and didn't quite realize what I was stepping into. And I remember one of my previous art directors, when I asked him for advice and stuff on art direction, he was just like, "Is your hair brown right now?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "First year, your hair is going to start going gray." And I was like, "You're kidding." And he wasn't kidding. I started getting gray hairs like the first year in, because it was like crazy stressful. And there's a lot of like politics and kind of upper management type stuff that you don't really think about. Like, for me, I thought about like, well, I'm really good at usually if I'm like a designer on a team, I'm the guy who stays overtime. I'm the guy, like, I'm a type A personality. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to get it done well. And I thought that means I'll be a good art director, and that's not necessarily the case. So I was like figuring all that stuff out and just kind of trying to just hang on to my job for like the first 2 years of doing that, and then, you know, take care of a kid and get sleep when I could, you know.
Yeah. And
then it was weird, but it's like I blinked and, you know, two years had gone by, and yeah, I had been pretty absent from the internet. And then, you know, started noticing my own design work suffering a little bit, so I decided to get back into personal projects, because it's kind of like, I think with the way I'm wired and the personality I have, it's impossible for me not to be doing these things. Like, eventually I always end up back. So, but it was, you know, but it's interesting because in those 2 years, a lot of things changed. So it's like I kind of had to rebuild my branding, and I'm still kind of working on it. And, but, you know, like I do remember pretty vividly what it's like to kind of just be gone for a while from the internet. And it's interesting too, because now I'm like, I haven't posted on YouTube in probably about a month or two, and that's something I plan on like eventually posting on YouTube again and getting the YouTube channel going again. But you know, it's also like a matter of like it's funny hearing you guys talk about Inktober. I instantly, like, my subconscious is like pretty much just like, don't do it, dude, don't do it. To me, that's what my subconscious says, because it's like I have to focus my free time on like my personality. I have to have limited things, and if I have too many things, then I don't get anything done.
Yeah, it seems like the thing is, Josh, I mean, you're kind of doing it by default anyway. You're inking, I don't know if some days you pencil and some days you ink, but it's, I mean, on Instagram, you're constantly posting pictures. I'm seeing your inks all the time, and, you know, and I think that counts, you know. And I mean, in some ways, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's been a while since I've actually done any inking. I've been doing all this kind of digital stuff, but so yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Josh, but I just was thinking.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, but like, that's the thing. By default, I'm kind of working on my own projects, so I don't really need prompts, you know, at this point. And prompts actually would end up being a really big distraction for me right now. Like, I had to do art for an art show that's coming up that I'll mention when I can. But that in itself, it was like a big gallery that like I've wanted to exhibit in. They've invited me before. I haven't done it. Finally did it. But just that process of like switching gears took me out of my rhythm of like doing it like this. I try to do a panel a day, you know, and it took me out of that rhythm. And then it took a couple days to get back in a flow where I could, like, you know, where it just felt strange not doing comics. So like, I'm always, it's weird, but like for me, that was kind of my trick to getting back in things. And so like YouTube is one of the 3 or 4 things I juggle outside of art directing, you know, with art. but it's always kind of last priority for me, because right now, if I can get a panel done or a YouTube video done, I'm going to do a panel, you know?
Yeah.
But it's weird because, like, you guys have all been here, but it's like if you go, like, if you've, like, vlogged, like, daily, it's like it becomes, like, habit, kind of like I was talking about doing the panels, you know? But the second you break it, it's, like, really hard to get back. Like, for me, I start feeling more anxiety about making a video because it's been a while, you know?
To me, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to me, that's one of the reasons that it's like every week, it's like, I've got so much stuff, but I gotta put out a video. And it's like last week I was like, because usually it takes some time to edit and everything. And I'm thinking, I gotta put out a video. What kind of video can I put out that doesn't require a lot of editing? And I was thinking, well, maybe I just do a quick flip through of a book or something. So then I got the idea to kind of do a little review of how to draw comics the Marvel way. And it didn't take as long as most of my videos, but it's still, once you get into it, you go record the intro and all that stuff. But I just know if I don't put out a video, at least one video a week, it's like, it's gonna just blow everything apart, you know? And in some ways I shouldn't think of that. In some ways it's healthy, because it's like, you know, it just keeps you in the game just enough, you know? So but, you know, I don't know. I mean, I assume for you is mostly the editing and everything, because one of the cool things that you did was, like, you did all yours on your commute to work, which now, I mean, you still have that commute. So it seems like you could still do that, because I don't know what else you're doing in the car the whole time driving. But I'm sure it's more of that, taking that footage and editing it all together and everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's usually the editing, and it doesn't take that long. That's the thing. It really isn't that, like, I mean, it does take time, and it's time-consuming, but it's like I know that once I get back in the flow of doing it, it'll be easy. It's just that pause where you press pause, and it's almost like you press pause in a movie and forget the plot and all of that, you know? It takes a while to kind of get back in the flow of it. And that's kind of the thing. I pressed pause, and so now I'm like in that kind of eternal pause phase where I'm like, okay, when am I going to do the video? You know? So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do one, because I have like tons of stuff I want to talk about, you know, like really crazy stuff that's happened recently. And you know, like I got to do a talk for that like cartoonist group that I'm part of, and like just a lot of like really kind of exciting like kind of life things. And like yesterday was Benji's birthday, and I'm like, there's that element of vlogging too, where it's kind of documenting like, you know, your life as well. And so it's like, you know, I know I want to do it, you know, it's just a matter of like being in a slump. But it's one of those things where things were getting to a point with like busyness where something had to give, and that was the thing I had to give. Yeah. Like, to me, I'd rather be in that slump with the vlog, which I'm just starting, than with the graphic novel, which, like, if I pause, it's going to be a week longer. And then, you know, if you do the math and you do that many pauses, it'll be a year longer or 2 years longer before it's done. And to me, like, I want to make sure this thing's moving forward regardless. Like, it's just these weird mental games you kind of have to do, you know, to be creative.
Yeah.
And to get stuff done. Because it's like, I don't know, I really, I don't know how else to do it. Like, you pretty, you know, for me, I have to isolate it to a few things and then be really consistent with those things. And so, like, the vlog is one of those things I have to incorporate back, because it's starting to get to the point where I'm like, I don't have any time to do vlogs. And it's like, but I did vlogs for like a year, you know, and was really consistent with them and still managed to get everything done. So, you know, I know it's possible. It's just one of those things of like, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's very much like when I had that 2-year pause, you know, where it's like coming back in is really intimidating, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Peter earlier hit it kind of on the head. Is just a consistency. You know, I mean, it's hard, but it's like if you just kind of keep at it, keep chipping away, because it's kind of like, sometimes I get frustrated with YouTube because, like, you know, it seems like, you know, although my channel continues to grow, it's just like, when you start to think about it, I've been doing this for how many years I've been doing this, and then, you know, and some people, they just start right off and like, bam, they've got like, who knows how many thousands of followers and everything. But, you know, but then I start to think, and, you know, I'm looking at my channel and I can see, and there's nothing like, I haven't had anything go viral or anything like that. And it seems like that's the way, anytime you hear anyone talk, it's like, I was watching, well, you know, like Kevin, Holly, both, you know, they both said they just had these videos that went crazy viral. And I was watching one of Brandon Dayton's videos, and he kind of said the same things. He said the YouTube gods kind of smiled on him, and now he's got, I don't know, maybe 10,000 or more followers and everything. So, you know, eventually I think if you just keep showing up and showing up, maybe that'll happen. But I am really kind of happy with where it's going, because it's just showing up, and I mean, it's growing, and it's starting, like, whereas before I would get like, you know, just, you know, a few months ago I would get maybe 2 new subscribers a day, and now I'm getting maybe 5 or 6, and then it starts to, it is gradual, but eventually if you keep at it, it'll grow. And even if nothing ever goes viral, I mean, it continues to grow, and I like doing it. So even if I never, you know, like conquer YouTube or become this, you know, get like tens of thousands of subscribers, you know, it's still, you know, I enjoy doing it. So, and new people find me every day, and I see new comments from different people, and one of the things that really kind of surprised me, one of the things that's kind of cool, is that, because I think the YouTube audience, especially I think in art, I think is there's a pretty big female audience, and a year ago I was probably maybe had a 10% female audience if I was lucky, and now it's getting like almost 40-60%. You know, 40% female, 60 male, which is kind of cool, because I'm reaching a different demographic and everything. So I mean, I'm reaching people that for whatever reason I wasn't reaching before, and I think that's really cool. So I don't know, it's just interesting. I like to look at kind of the analytics and kind of like, oh, why does this do that, or why does this do this? And it's interesting that short amount of time that I'm starting to reach kind of a broader demographic altogether. So I don't know.
Yeah, YouTube is really interesting. You know, and it's like, I don't have a big channel at all, you know, but I've gotten a better grasp of it lately, because I'm putting more of a focus on it. And it's just, you know, I mean, it's just a weird thing to have a show, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, do my fans like me? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going the right way? It's so weird, but I love it. You know, it's like, I'm not even close to where I want to be with my channel, but I'm slowly moving in the right direction. And that's all I care about. You know, I mentioned this on past shows and with Jeff and whatnot. It's like, I'll just slap it together until I get it right. And, you know, I've been working on the cover designs a little bit, and I just want to have a overall look and feel to my channel, and the videos, and just, you know, once it's all set up, just have fun. And I can see, you know, slowly my audience growing, because, hey, it's like I'm posting videos again. I've been away a long time, but but yeah, you know, it's like the ultimate goal is, like, you know, I look at YouTube as like going to a convention. It's like you'll meet other artists or just pure fans, and some are just like, people just want to have conversations. Some people want to learn. Some people just want to exchange their experience about doing the same thing. And I want that kind of, you know, juicy interaction that only the nerds can bring, you know. So we'll get there.
Yeah. So I was. It seems to me, because you're your other social media avenues, and this is something I probably need to take more advantage of, but it seems like you could, kind of, I don't know, call some of the people from your other social media platforms over to YouTube. I mean, I don't know how many of those people, like the people that I talk to or not, I don't do a lot of conversations on Instagram because it's not really, geared that way. But if I like posted like a picture, like a screenshot of one of my videos, I might get some people that are like, oh, I didn't know this guy was on YouTube. I'll check him out. Of course, they kind of have to do some work, because unless that one link that Instagram gives you is a link to YouTube, they've got to kind of search for you. But hopefully, but I know how I'm wired. If I see somebody, I've seen people like on Instagram, and either they say on my YouTube channel, and then it's not, I know how to work Google and I can probably find people, but I don't know what it is. Some people, like I think it was Travis Hansen. I don't know if he does the bean, and he does some other stuff, but I follow him on Instagram, and I posted I think it was one of my, oh man, why am I drawing a blank? The Evil Genius Hall of Fame, where I take, that kind of that style of illustration where I do it in marker, and then I've kind of got the white, outline around it, which basically I just kind of lifted from what Will Terrell was doing with his caricatures, but just doing kind of, doing it with the mad science, that kind of style on the toned paper and everything. But anyway, I guess Travis commented on one of my videos saying, oh, that's cool. How do you do that? And then, I explained how to do it, and I said, yeah, I got a YouTube video or whatever, and I just assumed he'd be able to find it, but he's like, are you going to send me a link? And I was like, well, I don't know, I wasn't really sure if they let you post links on Instagram, but anyway, so I figured I just posted a link without the actual hyperlink or whatever, and he found it. But it's like, I think I could have found that myself if I was looking for it. It's CircWorks. I would have just searched CircWorks on YouTube and found it. But anyway, but then now he's doing some really cool stuff in that technique with his fantasy stuff, which is really cool. So it's like, I'm kind of like, wow, it kind of inspired him to do that, which is cool. Which I was inspired by Will Terrell. So, it kind of goes around. But that's the cool thing about art, is you just kind of share with other people, and I don't know, it's just cool to have a community like that. But
yeah, that's the thing I probably miss the most, because it's not like I've been entirely off YouTube. Like, I'm still doing Artcasters every week, with you, but I do miss, like, I feel like there's an interaction you have on your personal page when it's, vlogs and stuff, that I really miss. Like, I miss interacting directly with my subscribers, So, like, that is, like, gonna probably be, if anything, what gets me back to it, because it's like, it's fun, it's fun to kind of work in a different format.
Yeah, and I think it has to be fun, especially in the beginning when you're kind of starting off. Otherwise, that's why so many people just give up. Some people can, like I said, some people can kind of get lucky and hit on something, but most people, you just got to kind of stick with it, and a lot of people aren't willing to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of tough when you're starting out, but if you like doing it and you get something out of it, rather than just, oh, I got so many subscribers or so many likes or whatever, if you don't really care about that, and I know I always bring up Roberto Blake because I watch all his videos and everything, but he's constantly talking about how when he first started, he didn't pay any attention to that. He said he kind of was basically the summary was, even if no one was watching, that's kind of good, because it gives him a chance to kind of get his sea legs and get used to talking and doing videos without the fear of like too many people judging him, because you don't have that big audience. And then you get comfortable after, 100 videos or whatever, you get comfortable with it. And then by that time you should kind of hopefully start to grow somewhat of an audience, and then you're a little more comfortable with it. So probably in the beginning, you don't want to have all those followers. You want to kind of get used to making videos.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve to produce quality videos and be consistent with it, and like really work your channel. And you're right, you have to love it, because when nobody shows up, and it's kind of hard to take. I've been to like comic conventions where like there'd be 20 people that show up to like a Saturday, and it's horrible, and it's soul crushing at times.
Yeah, comic conventions can be a little soul crushing.
But it's like part of it is like you can't take it personally. You're not the only name on the banner or whatever, and but if you're on YouTube, it's like it's also like maybe people just don't know. Like maybe maybe there's a ton of people that love your work, but they just don't know you're on YouTube. And I've been posting lately a lot more that, hey, I have a YouTube channel, but it doesn't mean even 5 people are seeing it because of all the algorithms of the different sites and whatnot. So it's just a thing that slowly spreads because you're putting time into getting the word out.
Yeah, it's not easy, but yeah, I think you said it though. It's just consistency and everything. So so based on that, I mean, as far as your video strategy, I mean, you're just gonna basically keep doing the live stream stuff, or I mean, what do you have planned as far as the YouTube part of kind of coming back and getting back in the groove?
Well, I'm gonna have the Has Artcast. That will be a regular show where I'll be making art, and a little bit of it will be foolishness. But it would be me, drawing pieces and hopefully finishing pieces quickly. I'll be doing Studio Synergy, which is my gathering of artists, talking about art and the business of art, where we tackle different topics or just go off into chaos. As it has on occasion, we talk about random stuff, and it's just usually a fun conversation wherever it goes. Then I'll have Independent Crossroads, which will be more a one-on-one, conversation between me and somebody else, where it's more interview-like-ish. And I've done that, 6 episodes I think I have up there.
I think I was on one of those, wasn't I?
Not yet.
No.
But you will be.
In the past, or maybe I'm thinking of a different one. I mean,
you've been on my Studio Synergy.
Okay. You know what? I might be thinking of the show Marshall used to do. I know I did an interview type show. It might have been the one I did with Marshall.
You've been on a lot of shows.
Yes.
But yeah, that's sort of like, if anybody knows, I used to do a podcast called Independent Road. I actually have 99 episodes up, even though I have the 100th episode. I just never edited it, but I'll get to that one day. I want to get back to that as well because, a lot of what's happening now started with my emergence into like listening to podcasts, which were around 2010 or thereabouts. Where, I just fell in love with, Joshua and his podcast, Jersey Droz and his, and a lot of different ones. Chris Oatley, Paul Kajeji, and I did my own little bit, which was Independent Road. And YouTube, to me, is like the next step. It's like, you have audio and then you have visuals, and it's happy art time. And it's just like the amount of people and community just grows and grows out from there. Next we'll all be on Netflix or something. Yeah,
that would be cool. But yeah, I think I was thinking about like your interview shows and the shows where you get a bunch of people on and everything. I think that's also a really good way to sort of grow your channel, because anytime, for instance, say if you can get like 5 artists to come on your show, I mean, those 5 artists know at least 5 other people, and they're like, hey, I'm going to be on this show, check it out. And then they check it out, and then, you know, they find you and everything. So that's that might be a good strategy to kind of help build a YouTube audience, is just, again, reaching out to the community, having people on like that, because I know it's kind of the same thing, and I'm really curious. Hopefully we're getting closer, but like with the 100 Days of Making Comics anthology, when you have something like an anthology, you've got, I forget how many people are involved, how many artists, I don't know, it's
20 or 30, I think.
20 or 30. So all those people have their own audience, and so hopefully when that thing launches, they'll, you know, it'll raise the money and get people a lot of books and stuff, because I think you know, that anthology with all those different people, I mean, I think it could really start to, you know, everyone can start to discover it. So
yeah, you know, and just a note to that is, like, even though I was a big part of the D100, you know, group early on, unfortunately, because of timing, that's when I dropped off the internet, and I wasn't able to do anything for that book, which sucks. Right. But you know, I wish them well, and I'll help them in every way to promote it for sure.
Yeah. And I think you're in a position to do that.
Yeah. As long as I don't drop off for another 7 months, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they're getting closer, because I'm chomping at the bit to get that book. I'm really curious to see it. So
yeah, I asked recently. You know, it's in the works, and things are happening and moving forward. Yeah,
I just know those guys, and like I just haven't seen much of either of those guys, and they used to be all over YouTube. So hopefully, you know, I know they've got different stuff going on, and that's, again, they're probably, maybe they're watching this because it's kind of, you know, kind of the topic as far as, you know, coming back to YouTube or coming back to social media or whatever, if that's in the plan. But I do miss those guys. So I mean, I see them on Facebook and stuff, but I miss the YouTube videos and everything. So
yeah, there are a number of people watching this video at the moment, but not a lot of people talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, that was a little bit of a shock. It's like, oh, I had all these friends and they were posting every day, and now I come back and then everybody's, you know, seems to have stalled. You know, because they're not posting regular videos on YouTube anymore. It's like,
and then you know, and then you can't really blame them, because you're like, well, I was gone, and now I'm back. People are gone. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's an ever
changing, you know, like surface that YouTube is. It's like, you know, some people try it out, and, you know, it's like wherever their focus is where they're going to put their energy. And, you know, if they have a good thing going with a comic they're working on, they're going to do that. You know, I totally understand. It's like, you know, Will Terrell, you know, I know him originally from MySpace, which is like, oh my God, I can't believe that. But he became a big thing on YouTube, and I missed the hell out of him, you know, just doing videos and whatnot. But I don't blame the guy. It's like, you know, if things are working for you otherwise, then by all means, that's good for you, you know.
Hopefully he'll be back again. So, but yeah, and then, you know, there's just a lot of people out there like that. I'm kind of hoping they'll come back, you know. So I know I saw Kevin posting the video saying what on his Patreon, saying what kind of video should I make next. So it looks like he's hopefully ready to come back and make some new videos, because I miss that guy too. So
Kevin? never heard of him.
Yeah, that guy. You know that guy, Josh?
That's my name.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So like, I kind of, I don't know. It is an interesting thing though, because it's like, you know, like you were mentioning, it's like if you're on a comic or like Will, or you're like working, you know, for an animation studio, and like it is interesting, like you know, it's interesting trying to juggle a YouTube channel because, like, you know, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of work to maintain, and then it becomes harder work if you're less consistent with it. And that's the lesson I've learned is like every time I've had like a week off or something, that's where I get really rusty, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that has a lot, you know, I mean, from my perspective, it's a creation, an artistic creation, putting a video together. And I feel the same way about art. You know, it's like when I took the 7 months off, I didn't do much at all as far as drawing. Sometimes I was, you know, just like, I need a break. I need, you know, to step away from this and focus on getting life straightened out. You know, I was tempted to like sit down and draw, but you know, wouldn't really have done anything at the time for me. But it's like if you step away, most of the time you're resting. Most of the time you have to remember your muscle skills and just, you know, do warm-ups and get back into it. And it's the same way I feel about doing the videos. It's like a certain part of it feels natural and it flows, but you know, definitely for me, it's like a lot of this technical stuff is like, what am I doing? How did I do this? You know, I'm so clunky.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think the audience sort of likes and appreciates that. I know watching other video makers like you know, I don't care if it's perfect or whatever. It's like, that's part of the fun. You know, this all reminds me of cable back in the early days.
Yeah.
You see low budget guy with a sheet behind him just like tap dancing or, you know, some strange thing.
Yeah, like a local access. Like there was one in our area called Monster Piece Theater, which was like,
Oh, that sounds cool.
it was like a bunch of trash can puppets and stuff. It was amazing. But like, yeah, like for me, here's my problem. Like, so the last few days have been like, okay, so I have like, you know, if you guys follow my Instagram, it's like, you'll know, like I post like a panel a day and usually a little process video with it, you know? And so I have all those videos like to edit, you know, audio over, and all I have to do is just record it in my car on my way to work. And yet every time I'm on my way to work, I'm like, yeah, but then I could listen to an audiobook or a podcast or like listen to a YouTube channel. And that becomes really addictive because I'm like, every time I'm like, well, first I'll listen to like, you know, I'll catch up on my books, and then it's very funny. To me, it's funny because like a lot of stuff I advise against, especially with art, you know, where it's like people hesitating on projects and stuff, and I'll usually give the advice of just like, you got to keep at it, and focus, and target it, and just, you know, don't wait for the muse, just do it. And then I feel like I'm doing the same thing with YouTube. So it's but yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like, to me, I think my favorite channels are where people just talk, you know, and are kind of authentic to the camera, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that's good advice too. Just for people starting off, is that don't worry about having everything perfect. Just turn the camera on and like start off, and you get better and you can add things to it. Because when I first started, I didn't have an underground layer or all that kind of stuff. I just had, you know, my art desk or you know, my wall behind me or whatever. So, and those few videos, or actually the first one, I didn't even show my face. I would just show, you know, my hands working on stuff, and that's fine too. I've seen a lot of people that just do that, but they were so bad as far as like you know, I was outside in the wind noise and just it's so, I watched one of my first videos a while back, and it was so shaky. The camera was just so shaky and everything because I'm holding it with my hand. Oh man, it was so bad. But you got to start somewhere, you know. So don't let that be a barrier for you. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's that, you know, punk rock album that was recorded on a 4-track. You know, it could have, like, you know, some. And I think that's for people who are doing it too. And like, you know, if you've done it for a while and you took a long break, like, you know, just turn on the camera and freaking record. Like, you know, it's not, unless you have like 1 million subscribers or something, it's not like, you know, it's not the end of the world. And the beauty of YouTube, if it's the worst video on earth, you can just delete it. You know, although the internet is forever, but still.
I think, you know, like, as far as like YouTube strategies go, I could probably put together a channel that gets, you know, 1 million views a video, but I forced myself not to go there. You know, it's like, I'm not going to be the 1 millionth guy that says 10 tricks to YouTube-ing. You know, it's like I see so many of those guys, and it's like, no, I want to be a freaking art channel. It's like I'll have quirky other stuff. You know, it's like I do plan on making some videos of my cats, but it's not. You know, I'm not going to be a cat channel. It's like it's 90% art and other stuff.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that does the list and stuff. But no, I mean, I think I really do try to. I don't try to follow trends too much. I do try to, like, it's usually my videos come from something I'm thinking about or some, you know, issue that I'm dealing with myself. Like if I'm working on putting up my online store, then I do a video just to let people know how I did it or how I'm working on it. Same thing, you know, my next video will probably be about digital products because that's what I'm working on right now. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends kind of what you want to do or what your style is. And I mean, a lot of these videos, sometimes I like them, but sometimes you do see they're kind of pandering towards an audience. But you know,
what you're doing, is oriented to artists. You know, it's not the social media guy guru of YouTube that, you know, tells you do this, this, and this, and you'll not only get, you know, a million views, but read my book and buy that and do this and do that. You know, it's like
you're not starting your video out by like walking through a mansion and pointing at a rented car. I want to own this car I rented for a day. Yeah. So, although I have heard about your mentorship program that you're charging hundreds of dollars for, Scott. No,
I mean, seriously, I can't, if I ever do become, the thing is, I mean, the reason why there's no mentorship program is because I haven't done something that I consider successful enough to share with people. But if that happens, I'm more than willing to tell people what I did, you know, because that's, I mean, I always appreciate people that have found success in a certain area that are willing to share kind of how they did. And that doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. You know, but you know, you can take certain things from that or whatever. So if I do find success in whatever I'm doing, if I strike a chord with something, then I'm more than happy to try to share that with somebody. And I'm not opposed to making a buck or two off it either. So
no. There's smart business and a lot of it, you know, it's like a lot of things you can do to the extreme is bad, you know. It's like but taking advantage of, like, you have a skill that you've mastered and you have classes and you have a mentorship and you have, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. I was just riffing on a specific YouTube ad that plays over and over again.
Yeah.
Video. But
oh, I know, I see all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if you've, you know, like for instance, like a good example would be like Steven Silver. charges for classes.
Yeah.
I've never met an artist who paid for those courses who was like, oh, I got ripped off. Like,
right. Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's like, he's legit, teaching cool stuff. So, I'm not opposed to that kind of thing. What I do need to do at some point is get back on the YouTube train. So when are you planning on re-entering the fray, Peter? Like how soon?
I think he's kind of doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, I posted, I don't know, 6, 8 videos so far. I've done 4 Artcast videos so far, and I get the 5th one I'll upload after the show.
So you're right back on it then, dude. That's amazing.
Well, I've been clumsy so far, and it's like, it feels like my early video stage. But, it's like I'm just running into computer problems, program problems, yada, yada, yada. I consider that relearning phase. But please go check them out, like them, and comment below. And, but it's I get joy out of it. It's just something I love doing. Putting together the videos and doing the art. I know I'll get to a stage where things will flow better and I'll be doing better art. And like right now, it's like the camera's upside down. I'm just doodling, but like, there's a program that fixes that, but it's on my schedule.
Yeah. But you're making content, and that's the important thing. Because like you're totally dead on about that. Like the quality will kind of start to take care of itself. It's like drawing too. It's just like, man, like a 7. That's one thing that I have not taken a 7-month break from drawing. Has that been hard to get like back in the flow of making art then from like 7 months?
It feels it. I mean, I'm no young kid anymore, and it's almost like, if I don't really get serious about what I want to do in the direction I want to take now, then I might as well just toss it all. I kind of feel like I'm not going to accomplish anything above and beyond what I already accomplished if I'm just messing around.
Yeah.
And so it feels harder because I'm more committed to it. But I think the outcome will benefit better from it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually is a really valid point too, because I think actually, like for me, anytime in my career and my art where I've like been like feel like I've gotten to a point where I'm hitting the brick wall, a lot of the times it's like a brick wall that like when you break through it, it's like you kind of level up. And so like I think that's part of leveling up is like when you start like trying to up your game, it's like it's harder, It's like adding extra weights if you're lifting weights or something. It's like, hey, I was pretty good at benching whatever I was benching, and now it's hard,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably a good thing, Like that's really cool.
I think it's, I sort of think it's the only way I work. If it's not hard, then, I'm not going to push myself. Therefore, I'm falling backwards. I'll start taking a lot for granted, and, I won't try. And that's not good. So I am pushing myself to get better in all aspects of what I wish to accomplish. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
It's just like it's like I feel really great about doing like you mentioned Jeff Lafferty before. Like we did the his 399th episode of his Artcast. And I mentioned either on the show or afterwards You know, like doing the Artcast when it was me, him, you, and Kevin Cross. It's like I'd never been more challenged to up my game artistically than just like sitting around bullshitting with you guys, because I know you're all way better artists than me. And that's the juice I get from being part of these community of artists. And you know, some are just online on Facebook, some are like the video community, some are the podcast community, and the interactions I have with all you guys push me to strive harder, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, most of the time unconsciously. But it's the fire that gets me going.
Yeah, I mean, artists should never work in a vacuum. I mean, I know, like, in like the studio jobs I've had. Well, I have a studio job now, and you know, it's a smaller group. You know, we've got, I think, 3 illustrators, and I think we're all fairly competent. But I don't know that, you know, anyone is like light years ahead of me or anything. I'm probably the oldest one, so I probably have the most experience. But in other scenarios where there was, you know, I had artists that just, you know, just blew me away. I mean, you just learn so much from that. So, I mean, it's like, it's always good to surround yourself with people that are better than you, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's like I worked from home in DC, and it's even though if I wasn't working with the highly talented ones one-on-one personally, you know, they were in the same, working in the same company, so I felt like I had to push myself to at least, you know, not look awful. So in the same way, you know, I feel like a piece of this community that we're all, you know, building on, and therefore, you know, it's like I can't let you guys down. You know, I can't suck totally forever. You know, it's like I gotta get back on you know, 100%. Yeah,
it's I mean, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of, you know, a lot of artists, I mean, when we first started talking, we were more about like getting back into social media, but just like getting back into drawing in general, because I've heard so many people that just, they either gave up or they had to stop or whatever, and getting back into it. And I don't know that it's hard for me to speak on that, because I don't know that I've ever, I mean, there's definitely times where I done less drawing, but it was, you know, it's always in my mind, and it wasn't that long before I did something artistic. And for me, it's different things, because I kind of switched up, you know, like right now I'm doing a lot of digital stuff, and I miss, I'm still doing my comics, so I get to do some traditional stuff, but I miss doing like all the sketches, and, you know, I got a sketchbook that I started that, again, kind of took a back seat like they always do anytime I start a sketchbook. But, you know, I don't know, there's only so much you could do. So it's like, I don't know. So, but you know, it's not the end of sketchbooks for me. I will get back to it, but sometimes you got to just move around, I guess. Or maybe, you know, maybe that's good advice. Maybe that's not good advice. Maybe the best advice is to stick to one thing and keep going and not move around so much. But I don't know. Everyone's got to kind of find their own thing and experiment, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it's like I look at artists like Jeff Smith, you know, and he's worked on his creation Bone, and, you know, what was that, 300 issues? I don't know. And that, you know, it's like he took a big chunk of his life, focused on one project, and you know, has a huge book done, accomplished, and he'll forever be known for that, and it's high quality. And, you know, I'm sure like the first issues, if you compare the first issue to the last issue, it's a big difference probably.
Actually, you know what, Bone is one of those books, and maybe it's just me, but Bone's one of those books where it almost like, because, you know, when you look at early Peanuts, you definitely see a different style, but Bone's one of those books where I think, or even Calvin and Hobbes or anything like that, but when you look at the first Bone, it's pretty consistent to the final bone, at least me. I mean, there's some differences, but not much. It's very consistent.
Yeah,
Cerebus.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with like bone, like, so Jeff Smith, like, he started that, I think, for like his college newspaper or something. And if you look at that version, it was like 10 years before he made the first one.
Okay, so he already.
That it's like it's noodly, but he had like really refined his style before hitting that. So like I think that might be why, because he like kind of knew exactly the style, because he used to use a lot of hatching and it was just a much different style. And then like when he got to actually doing cartoon books and stuff, I don't know what, I haven't read enough on it, but like I think he had kind of worked it out perfectly at that point, which is kind of beautiful, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense, because it's kind of something else, or it's kind of hidden, because I wasn't really aware of that. So when somebody like me looks at it, it's just like, wow, this tome is so consistent from beginning to end.
Yeah, and like his line work, it's like, how could it get any better? Like the first issue, it's like I still look at that book, and I still like, you know, the Scholastic books are cool and stuff, but I don't even own them, because I'm like, I like the black and white book.
Oh yeah, I only have the black. I have the big collection of the black and white. I don't even, you know, certain things, and maybe it's just me, but I'm super partial to black and white a lot of times.
Oh, and especially that where the line is just so controlled. It just that is one of those books that just kills me a little bit. Like the quality of the writing, like everything, even the bits, like the gags in it. I still love that snow gag. That's one of the best gags ever done in comics. It's like winter just fell, or we gotta get going, winter's gonna be falling. And then it's like a panel later, it's just this giant lump of snow falls.
So we got a question in the chat. Jimmy LG 1025. Maybe this is something you can speak to, because you've actually taught classes, but he wants to know, just curious what art classes you guys have taken, if you've taken, would you like to take life drawing? Sorry, it wasn't his bad writing, it was just me not being able to read because I'm dyslexic, but does that make sense? Do you want me to read it again? Just curious what art classes you guys have taken, and if you've taken, or would you like to take life drawing? Yeah, I think probably most of us have taken life drawing. I still do. I haven't done any like nudes lately, but every once in a while I'll go and do like they do these like life drawings at the it's like drink and draw / life drawing, and I do that from time to time. But I think most of us have done that. But besides that, as far as classes and things we could recommend, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll step in. Well, you know, in high school, I took cartooning and animation. I went to High School of Art and Design in New York. And in college, I only went to college for 2 years, but I took advertising art. Outside of that, yeah, I've done life drawing, because, you know, I'm from New York and they have life drawing everywhere. Classes and just, you know, places you can go for that. And I would love to go with a bunch of friends and just take life drawing classes. If you want to be any kind of artist, I mean, you could just copy pictures off of Google search, but to have a live model in front of you, there's nothing like that. So if there's life drawing classes around you or nearby, I'd definitely recommend it. I don't have much in the small town I'm in regards to art wise, but would love to travel. I'm sure there's something at least nearby, and like take some courses again when I have that sort of time and money. Because I think, you know, it's art is like always learning. You know, you just keep learning, so that your skills just constantly improve. You know, part of art is making it look easy. But, you know, it's like you're always working hard to be better
Yeah, I mean, I can say like I agree too. I don't think you're going to meet an artist worth their salt who's going to be like, don't take a life drawing class. Life drawing classes are super essential, and I hated them when I first had them. Like, and you know, like, I mean, for one thing, there's some fictions about a lot of life drawing classes that you're going to go in and it's going to be like, draw me like one of your French girls, you know, and like. You go in and there's not some like hot lady. It's like a normal person. Sometimes they're like 90 years old. And, you know, if your idea is like to have some kind of crazy artistic, like, you know, movie version of art school, like that probably isn't going to, like, you're probably not going to have a good time at a life drawing session. But the thing that's cool is like, and I remember struggling, you know, because I had teachers who were like, stop sketching, like use contour. And I never understood what they were talking about. They were just like, oh, follow the flow of the body. And it was like 3 life drawing classes where I think it was like somewhere at the end of the 3rd where something just clicked in my head and I got it. And I like went from like hating it to like it's fun. Like to me, that's a break is life drawing. It's a challenge, but it's like, it's really fun when you get it, when you start figuring out form, when you start figuring out, you know, proportion. Like for me, I remember I'm sure you guys all have this too, but it's like there were little moments of like light bulbs going off. Like one of my favorite memories is like figuring out the nose finally. Because I thought I knew how to draw noses, and then I noticed that like, and this happened from those like quick gesture sketches that I used to hate, and now I love them, because I feel like in the first 5 minutes of a life drawing, you usually get everything you need. Everything else is just kind of fun. Like if it's a 20-minute pose, it's too long. I mean, it's great, and you can render the hell out of it, but like the structure you can get in about 5 minutes. And you know, correct and have it pretty good. And like those gesture things used to be my least favorite because I'd be like, they're moving too fast. Like, don't move, you know? And like I said, something clicked with the nose doing those quick drawings where I realized like there's a slight triangle here. It's like this little line and it like starts like right at the base of the bone. And if you can catch that like and draw it in position, it gives you a really good signal to the angle of the head. Like a lot of information comes from just that shape of the nose and how it's moved. So like that affects the way I draw now, even if I'm using photo reference, because I'm like, I make sure like you figure out your center line, you know how to like, you know what proportion your center line would be to like the side of each face depending on the turn of the head or the turn of the body. You figure out like what those weird muscles are and what's causing like all these weird like shadows that when you first start, that's all you want to draw. At least most artists, like when they first start life drawing, first thing you're going to want to do is just like draw shadows, you know. But like you start realizing what's casting the shadows and what those forms are, and it's really like it's one of the most enlightening things I think you can do. And I miss life drawing, and whenever I get a chance, like anywhere I'm at, if I have a sketchbook or something I can doodle on, and I have a moment, I will draw just people walking by, which is like probably some of the best life drawing practice you can have. But being in a structured life drawing class prepares you for like going out on the street and doing sketching of like people as they, you know, because they're not going to hold a pose for 2 minutes. They're going to walk by for like 30 seconds. Can you catch them? You know, that's a good practice though. And even if you don't have access to like an art school, that's a huge thing. It does help to have an instructor. Like I had this great instructor from China who was like, he was a master painter during like when they were a communist country. So it was illegal for him to be an artist for a while. He had to like do art in his basement. It's this weird, crazy story. But when they finally had art schools, they were state run. So the state picked only the most elite of the artists to teach at the schools, and he was one of the people chosen. So like I got to like sit next to this guy who like would just, you know, if you're being too tight with your drawing, he'd just come by and like slap you on the back of the head and just be like, be bold. And anytime I catch myself drawing now because of those classes, I still hear that, like, be bold, like like stop being so tight, like, you know, when you're drawing. And it's just like things like that, like having somebody who's an expert at it. You can also have I've had bad life drawing instructors too, you know, who are just like kind of mad at you for not getting the result, but they don't really guide you in how to get there. So it's just one of those things of like getting the right teacher and the right stuff. I hope that answers that question.
I had the opposite experience. When I was taking life drawing, I had the instructor basically. I had drawn this one. I don't know, a gesture, a figure drawing, or whatever, and I couldn't tell you really why he like gravitated to it, but he just went on how great it was and everything. We're gonna print this in the magazine and do all this stuff, and I really to this day I can't figure out what he liked so much about it. So in a way, it was kind of cool, but in a way I don't really know what I did right, which is kind of the same thing, you know. If you just kind of by a happy accident stumble upon something that is great or whatever, but it wasn't even like a full figure. It was just kind of like, I think a partial, like of a shoulder or the side of the body or whatever, but something in the form that he really thought it was great. So I don't know. I wish he would have broke it down for me a little bit better so I could repeat that.
It's funny, like, you know, I went to art school essentially for years, but it's those little moments when you know, you get the right teacher that really drills you on one thing, and that sticks with you for life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like just on that topic, like the illustration teacher I had, he was the first. So at our school, it was structured like you'd take your general eds, and then you had to take a bunch of foundation classes in like a variety of subjects. So you had to like learn basic typography, you know, have like your first intro to art history, all these like weird kind of scattered classes. And then you finally have fulfilled that, so then you apply for your BFA with like your mediocre portfolio of foundation work, right? And then at that point, like, you know, you're applying for the BFA program, there's this whole acceptance thing. But once you're accepted, you take all your courses that specialize in your subject. And so like I was an illustration major, so once we got accepted, I walk into this illustration A class, and my instructor is like this weird guy, and I found out years later he's a really unique individual. He gets paid, like the city of Los Angeles paid him thousands of dollars, like tens of thousands of dollars, for like an hour for him to walk to like a metro station and say what he thought. No, just to look at their art installation and go like, oh, this is kind of ugly and this could change and stuff like that. And then they like check it by. I didn't realize that at the time, so I'm like this haughty, you know, young student who thinks like you're great because everybody thinks they're great, you know, before you have your you know, wake up call. And I walk into that class and he gives this assignment. We all come in, all of us kind of cocky. These are all people I'm really close friends with to this day who have this class. And he literally tears, like we had put our thumbnails up, like everybody's like, this is my brilliant idea, you know? And he just starts ripping them like off the wall. And I think one of them he stomped on, and like, he literally lit one of them on fire. Because it was like, because they were trying to say, but I mean, it was in context. They were trying to say something about how they were depicting fire, and he was like, "You want to depict fire?" And he just lit it on fire. I don't know if you could get away with this these days, but
nah, probably not.
He kind of like, I mean, like for the first half of that semester, we all hated him. Like we were just like, "There's no pleasing this guy. He's a lunatic," you know. And to this day, I think that's the best teacher I ever had.
Yeah.
Because he finally got me to like think conceptually about art, to think about concepts, to think about you know, like staging, all sorts of like really important stuff that has nothing to do with like, you know, technical anatomy, you know. And yet, like, you know, you go in there because you've had a couple life drawing classes and you know how to draw a figure and you're like, I know what I'm doing. And then you just get raked across the coals and you come out stronger for it. Now, there's bad teachers who use that method too, or you'll just come out broken, you know? But like, that teacher to this day is like one of my favorite teachers ever. Like, just complete genius. Like, and it's kind of too bad to me that like there can't be more of that kind of teaching. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just evil or something, but to me, like, that was really effective. It was very effective.
Well, I had a teacher I really liked, and I think what his skill was that he got you to like him, then he tore into you, and made you see the light. You know, as opposed to like your guy, like just everybody hated for a long time. You know, he was very sugar, and then he'd pull out his guns and really give it to you.
Literally? No, just kidding.
Yeah, literally. Yes.
That's harsh.
That's why none of these teachers are around now.
Can't carry arms to classrooms anymore.
So Corey's in the chat, and he says he had a life drawing teacher say that the gesture drawing doesn't get better with more time; it only gets darker. Yes.
What was I going to say? Oh, in regards to life drawing, Joshua was mentioning, yeah, you're not going to go in there and see a gorgeous woman or whatnot. I remember, like, there was a life drawing class that I wanted to go to, and I didn't really want to go alone. So I invited a friend of mine, and she thought it was like a date. It's like, no, I know why you want to bring me to a life drawing class. You know, we're gonna get hot, and you know.
I'm like, yeah, this person was probably not an artist, or was she?
She was an artist, yeah, okay. Yeah. You know, not like traditional per se, but she's very creative.
Yeah, I think when you haven't been to one, you really don't know what to expect. But once you've been to one, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
But I thought it was hilarious. Like,
yeah.
Oh man, it's yeah, I can just imagine like the reaction to that, because like my first, you know, every once in a while you do have like this beautiful model, and to be honest, like the weird thing is the more you do life drawing, the more you kind of appreciate getting like a weird like looking old person or something with all sorts of weird wrinkles and stuff, because it's like it's a challenge and it's kind of, there's more to draw. Yeah. Whereas if it's like a perfectly proportioned person, it's just like, well, that was easy and quick and boring to draw. You know? So like there is something really cool about having these unique models, like really obese people and really thin people and just like all sorts of shapes and sizes, because it really makes you figure out how the human body works. But it's like, but I do remember my first like few weeks in my first life drawing class, like usually you have this like, this is just for anybody who hasn't had them, but usually you have this like bench thing, you know? And it's like got a space for you to put your like paper on. It's like I don't know what that would be called. But anyhow, so everybody kind of sits their bench in a circle around where the drawing model is. And every time I'd pick a spot, I'd get this one spot in the class where the model was just bending over, like with their rear end pointed towards me. And it was always some like really obese dude. And it was like, I did a test one day where I like moved spots like 4 times, and every time, yeah. So I just imagine if that were the day you invited your friend, you're like, come to my life drawing class and look at somebody's rear end for an hour. Oh man. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I guess we kind of shifted a little bit into life drawing, but
yeah.
I think we kind of touched base on the the core topic enough. I think we got enough out of that. But so, I mean, we've been going for about an hour and a half, so that's probably getting close to time to start wrapping it up. I know we had a couple more comments. So thanks to everyone in the chat. Yeah, the chat was kind of slow going, but now it's starting to pick up a little bit. But unfortunately, some of you guys joined in a little too late. So. But yeah, I mean, you guys can always watch it on the replay and everything. But so let's kind of do our outro and let everyone know where they can find us and everything online. And so we'll start with Josh, I guess, because he's here all the time.
All right. Well, you can find me by looking up Joshua Kemble with a K on YouTube. Or you can, more importantly, check out my graphic novel that I handwrite, hand letter, and hand ink, Quarterly Stories, at quarterlystories.com. Peter, where can I find you?
I am Peter Palmiotti, and you can pretty much find me across the internet by Googling my name. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, yeah, but mostly just go to my YouTube channel and watch every video I ever produced. You make me very, very happy.
You're for quite a I was gonna say long evening, but you got enough videos at it for a while. I would never recommend anyone go back and watch all my videos.
Yeah, I have like over 300. I think it will take more than a day or two.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of videos, if you're a fan of this Artcasters, there is on my website or my YouTube page, which you can find right where you're at it right now, so you know. But there is a playlist with all of them from episode 1 all the way to now, which is episode 102. But the way this works, again, is that we rotate from channel to channel. We would go to Josh's channel and then back to mine and then kind of back and forth. And we always bring in a third guest. We've got a rotating third chair. Today, that's Peter. Next week, it'll be somebody else. We don't know who yet. But we just like to switch it up that way. But if you want to know where to find us, because we're kind of always moving around, think about subscribing to the newsletter. It's not even really a newsletter. We don't send out a bunch of like info and stuff like that. We just every week, usually 20 minutes before we go live or 30 minutes before we go live, we just like to send a little reminder so you know where to find us, and it's got a link and everything. So you can find the link to the newsletter. We call it a newsletter, whatever you want to call it, email list or whatever. We don't spam anyone or anything like that, but it's you can find that in the description. As far as me, you probably know me. You're on my channel, so yeah, I don't know what else to say, but thanks to everyone in the chat, and I guess if you guys don't have anything else to say before you leave,
thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, of course, it's good seeing you again, Peter. All right,
thanks.
We will see everyone hopefully next week. Later.